Hello, this is Emma Scott. Today we're going to go over phenotypic plasticity in response to non-genetic factors and how it applies to hymenopteran and termite caste development. We're going to be going through our study group participants, so the organisms involved, the thesis, then we're going to define castes and see how they're formed and what this tells us about evolution, and then draw conclusions from that information. Hymenopterans are the main group that we're going to discuss, and it's an insect order containing all wasps, ants, and bees. These organisms are easy to find, rear, and observe, even in a laboratory setting. Our other group of interest are the termites, the Isopteran group, which is another order of insects which share similarities with hymenopterans in that they are a social group, they have castes, and they're fairly abundant. I believe that hymenopterans are good models for phenotypic plasticity and caste development, and that by studying caste development in hymenopteran and Isopteran groups, we can gain insight into the evolution of social societies. By understanding these groups, we are provided with insight into evolution and application for current human practices using this knowledge. Let's go into start defining what a caste is. Here we see several castes from several different species. A caste is castes are members of the colony that have a specific task or tasks. Here we see several species and their respective castes. Some species have many castes, while others have only a few. Having separate castes for specific tasks allows the colony to be more efficient. Each task is done better than it would be if every member performed every task. We will look at several different castes and what they do shortly. First, we need to discuss the meaning of phenotype plasticity. To understand these organisms, we need to recognize that they all have the same genotype within the species. This means that the genetic code is the same for all the individuals despite the varying castes. This brings us to phenotypic plasticity. Like the clay in the previous picture, all members have the same material to work with. However, as seen in this picture, different forms can be made from that one material. This represents the different castes, and this is done through outside influence, such as environment and other factors, which act on the genotype and influence the caste developed. Here we see social groups and the structures that they use as their home. So hymenopterans and termites live in large groups called colonies. The individual members of the colony work together to accomplish the tasks necessary for survival. This is achieved through the development of castes, each with a specific task. Here we see three different social groups: wasps on the left, termites in the middle, and ants on the right. We're going to go into the different types of castes. First, we'll begin with the reproductive caste. The reproductive caste is responsible for producing all the members of the colony. Usually, there's only one or a couple individuals responsible for this task. Here on the left, we see a termite queen. All she does is produce young. She will not be rearing the young herself. On the right, we see a drone. This is a male honeybee, which is only responsible for fertilizing the female and then dies later as a result. Reproductives don't rear their own young. They don't care for them after birthing them. This brings us to workers. The worker caste rears the young, takes care of structures within the colony, and gathers resources such as food for the colony. In some Hymenopteran groups, there are scouts, a caste which finds resources for the colony and then signals the workers where it is so that they can go and gather it. Gathering resources without protection is a risky business. So there are soldier castes in some species. Here we see the soldier caste of an ant with two different sized individuals which have fully reached maturity. These are responsible for protecting the colony from danger, whether they're in the colony or out gathering resources. So, how are castes developed? How are they influenced? What starts it? One method is dominance, which has two different ways it can be achieved. One is through aggression, which is behavioral or chemical and maintains control due to status or rank, such as being the queen. Everyone's going to listen to you. The other form of dominance is actually interfering with the endocrine system, usually through pheromones, which prevents reproductive structures from maturing and inhibits the other members of the colony from being able to reproduce at all. Another influencer of caste development is spatial placement within the colony. In honeybees, queens are reared in larger cells, allowing them to develop into a larger organism, and also indicating to the workers that they need special care. Other cells are in other areas of the hive. Nutritional factors are very important in caste development. This is seen in three different ways concerning nutrition. The quantity of the food administered. If we think back to our soldier ants, there were two different sizes within the same caste. This was due to a difference in the amount of quantity each larva received before maturing. The quality of the food source is also important. In honeybees, a higher quality food source is fed to those individuals who are destined to be queens. This food source is called royal jelly. The others are not fed this resource, and so do not have the nutrients necessary to develop into queens. Timing is also important, as the timing of certain nutritional switches can determine whether or not a certain caste will develop. Pheromonal influence is also a method of caste development, as pheromones can be used to inhibit development, as we saw in dominance section, or also could be used to control the behavior of other castes in the presence of that pheromone. Seasonal changes influence castes and how many of each caste there are. Early in the season, there aren't as many resources available, and so colony is usually smaller. As resources get larger and more abundant, more workers are able to be produced, and thus more young to be reared. When winter comes along, some castes, usually the reproductive males, are actually dismissed from the colony and will die for the season, and other castes will overwinter. How did these castes even start to develop? It has been proposed that the beginning of castes began with just a simple difference in size, as seen here by the honeybee queen, marked in green, and the workers, which are all around her. The queen is much larger, but otherwise looks fairly similar to the other members of the colony. Hymenopterans all evolved from a common ancestor. This ancestor was flying and looked much like a wasp. Modern ants today do not have wings commonly. Instead, they lost the wings. This is because ants live underground, where wings would be cumbersome and increase the probability of predation. Ants lost wings as a permanent trait, but retain the ability to form them when advantageous, for mating dispersal, for instance. Otherwise, they don't have any wings. Termites also are like ants in that they don't have wings all the time for the same reasons as in the ants. However, they took it a step further. Termites evolved a new function for their wing structures. Instead of forming wings, they are made into endocrine glands. Endocrine glands produce pheromones, which is the main form of communication among most termites, as they are almost entirely blind. Each caste has a different evolution of those endocrine glands, which is rather amazing. It must have evolved many times. Apply all this knowledge we've been discussing. Well, we can study the evolution of social groups ranging from simple differences in size, as seen in the honeybees, to complex castes, as seen in the ants. Pest control methods can be developed based on knowing the biology and caste development of hymenopterans and isopterans. Also, ecological applications can be drawn from hymenopterans. Termites, for instance, are important in their natural environment in controlling buildup of woody material, and this results in less forest fires, which is beneficial to us. However, termites in homes and permanent structures built by humans can cause millions of dollars of damage. In this way, understanding the biology of termites can be used both for good and for bad. Hymenopterans are also able to increase the yield of crops. This could be through bringing in extra pollinators, such as honeybees, or through bringing in parasitic wasps, which parasitize the pests of the crops themselves. In conclusion, we learn that hymenopterans are indeed good models of social structure, caste development, and evolution. We also gain an understanding that hymenopterans and isopterans biology can be used to benefit humans in common practices. Further research will yield new evolutionary insights and greater understanding into hymenopteran biology, which will further allow us to apply this knowledge to human processes. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.